Hello.
We're so glad that each of you were able to come out.
One, two, three, four, five. Thank you.
We want to make sure that this is an enjoyable time. This is a story time program, and it's called Prime Time. And we're going to get a chance to listen to stories. First of all, how many people in here like to hear stories?
All right.
I do too. And then we're going to talk about the stories. And one of the things about it, we've got some really, really good people here today. My name is Phyllis Filer, and I work at the public library. How many of you ever been to the library? All right. And then we have Miss Linda Q.
Hey guys. Hi.
Who decided to retire from the library.
Yeah, they wore me out. Yeah.
But she just retired last week.
Yeah.
It hasn't been long.
She just called me back, you know?
Then we have Miss Sherrod DuPree. And she's retired, but she is not retired. She goes around and she does so many wonderful things. And you're going to get a chance to listen to all of us as we go about doing prime time.
What's prime time again?
It's a story time, but it's in a different way than what you've ever seen before. Okay?
Me?
Yes. We're going to start with Miss Linda Q.
Okay, I'm
She's
first.
got a story.
Okay, so let me just say this. There's one thing that's going to connect all these books that we're going to read. The theme, the ideal that connects all these books is fairness. So keep that in mind, okay? Okay, so the first book we're going to read is Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Okay? By Julius Borst, illustrated by Ray Cruz. Okay? Hey, remember that? I want you guys to remember that because you're going to help me with this, okay? Remember, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Okay? Okay, let's go. Maybe you can't see all the pictures because it's a small book, but just listen.
I'm going to show pictures.
Oh, okay, great. Let's go. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair.
Ooh.
And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on a skateboard. And by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. And I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car set in his breakfast cereal. And Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, I found only cereal.
Yeah.
I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Miss Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being crunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one even answered. They ignored me. I could tell it was going to be, what kind of day? A terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Yeah, very bad day. At school, Miss Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said, I sang too loud. At counting time, she said, I left out 16. Who needs 16 anyway? I need 16. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Yeah. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said Philip Parker was his best friend and Albert Moyo was his next best friend. And that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. Ooh. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off. The ice cream cone falls apart and lands in Australia.
Wow.
There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag. And Albert got a Hershey bar and almonds. And Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess who mother forgot to put dessert in? His mother. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist. And Dr. Phyllis found a cavity just in me. Come back next week, and I'll fix it, said Dr. Phyllis. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia.
Wow.
On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot. And while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying, because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. Ooh. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, what do you think the shoe man said? I mean, he's having this very horrible, terrible day.
It's not on sale.
Almost. Very, very close.
He was close.
You know what he said? We're all sold out. They made me buy plain white shoes, but they can't make me wear them. That's true. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as I could be, except for my elbow. He also said, don't fool around with my phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick anything up anymore. It was a terrible, what kind of day was it? Come on, it was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Very bad day. It's gonna get even worse, right? There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate lima beans. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain. I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep. And the Mickey Mouse night light burned out. And I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says, you know what his mom says? My mom says, some days are just like that. Even in Australia. Oh, okay, guys, so I've got to ask you one question. So what do you think? You think it was fair that Alexander was having a very bad, horrible, no good day? You think it was fair? No, I don't think it was fair. But just keep in mind, just because you're having a bad day one day, the next day could be even better. So that's the theme of the story. Just because one day might be unfair, there's always tomorrow. And tomorrow could get you better. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now that you've had a chance to read this book and to see the pictures, what do you think the theme was? Good. Good? Bad? Bad? All right. Was there any fairness in what was happening here? No. What was no happening? There wasn't fairness? No. He was having what kind of a day?
Good. Was it
What
good?
kind of a day was he
For him
having?
to have a bad day?
He was having a what? He was having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I want you to remember that because we're going to come back and talk about that again. Yes, and where did he want to go? Where did he want to go to get away from everything?
Australia.
Who said Australia? Yes. Yes. Anybody been to Australia in here?
Yes.
Wonderful. And you've been to Australia? Good. When were you there? You want to go? You have an idea where Australia is?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yes. Where's Australia? I can't hear you. It's a long ways from here, isn't it? It's 14 hours from where you are now. 14 hours away will take you to Australia. Huh? Well, let's see what time is it now. It's about not quite 6:30.
Go behind her.
So count 14 hours ahead. They're in tomorrow, the next day. It's about 3 or 4 in the morning there, right? Count 14 hours from now to get to Australia. So I wanted to share with you the term fairness. Was it fair for him to not have good ice cream to eat? It was? Oh! Was it fair for him to have those pajamas to wear? It was fair for him to have those pajamas to sleep in? Why? He was covered, right? He had a cover, right? And so he had on some pajamas. He could have been there and they didn't have any pajamas for him. So then he would have been without, right? Yes. Now, another thing I want to mention in this case, and looking at this title, will you remember this when you get home this evening? If I call you and asked you what was the title of this book, what would you tell me? He had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. You got the title. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the author. You want to wonder why this lady wrote this book? It was written by a lady, her name was Judith. Judith is 90 years old. Can you believe, anybody believe that this lady is 90 years old that wrote this book? She lives in New Jersey. Yeah, she lives in New Jersey right now. She wrote this book about 35 years ago. And it's a long time ago. She's 90 years old, unless she passed today. I looked her up on the internet today, and she's still living. Her children are in the 40s and 50 years of age.
Linda.
Now, she was, what do you think her occupation was? Was she a writer? Was she a good writer? Did you like this story? This is an award-winning book. Now, one other thing I wanted to say about this book, the word horrible was used. Have you ever used the word horrible? Yes. Oh, what's horrible to you? Have you ever heard the word horrible? Yes. Something that's not nice? Okay. The word horrible can be used to describe something shocking or something that is causing you to feel uncomfortable. That's horrible. What about the word terrible? Have you ever heard the word terrible before? Yes. What does terrible mean? Huh? Terrible. Okay, so you had a terrible fall. So. If you fell and hurt yourself, that could be terrible, right? That's another way that that word could be used. Now, both of these words are adjectives in your story. Okay, I guess we can hear a little better now. Both of these words are adjectives and have been used many times. And these words describe negative, unpleasant situations or experiences. Have you all ever had any unpleasant experiences? Anybody ever had any? Yes. What's your name? Have you had any unpleasant experiences? Can you think of one? Can you tie in with any of these? Have you had bad ice cream? You had to wear certain pajamas? You had to sit in the middle seat in the car? What are some of the conditions that you've had? None? None? Yes. Hmm? Is it school?
Is it school?
Yes, it's a form of school, so you can learn about this book. Yes. Yes, I see your hand. I couldn't hear her.
I'll use it.
What did she say? Okay, so you had the experience with this book because you had to sit in the middle car seat. You couldn't sit at the windows. And that's one of the things that we talked about in this story. What else can you pick up in this story that you picked up that you may have had to live with? How about going to bed? What else have you had to deal with? Sitting in the middle seat. All right, I see a hand over here. What is this young man? Yes, what have you had an experience with? She can tell. What was your experience that was horrible, terrible, something that upset you? Can't think right now? Well, we'll come back to you. All right. Any questions about this particular book? Yes, ma'am.
Can I speak on the speakerphone?
Hmm?
Can I speak on the speakerphone?
Well, go ahead and say what you want.
Chicken.
Okay, this person was chicken. This person was horrible. This person didn't get things done at the right time. But this person was very upset at times, right? Okay. Yes. Did you have a reason to say it? Anything that's happened to you? We're going to leave this story, Alexander, the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Can you repeat this with me? Horrible, no good, bad day, very bad day. Remember this book. Thank you.
I'm going to read this one. Okay. All right. All right. First of all, because I know you're getting a little antsy, I'd like everybody to stand for just a minute. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to rock the willies out. Can you do that? Shake them out.
Shake it out.
All right.
Okay.
Now we have rocked the willies out. We're going to get really quiet. Can we get really quiet? Now, I want to find out, can you hear me in the very back? Because I can't do both. Okay. How many of you have ever heard of the 3 little pigs?
Oh, me too. Oh, I did. The 3 little pigs.
everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, but do you know the true story? The true story of the three little pigs. Okay, hold on. Because see, I'm going to tell you about the true story of the three little pigs. Okay? Wait. And I'll let you know a secret. Nobody really knows the story of the three little pigs. You think you do, but we're going to listen to the story. But you got to be quiet. You got to be quiet. Okay? We're going to talk about, see, I'm the wolf. My name is Alexander T. Wolf. But you can call me Al. Now, I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started. But see, it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of my diet. But hey, it's not my fault that wolves eat those cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. Now, I bet if cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think they were big and bad too. See, way back, once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake. It was for my dear old granny. And I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. So, I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, you know this neighbor was a pig, but he wasn't too bright either. No, he had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? Why would anybody want to build their house out of straw? That didn't make any sense, did it? So, of course, the moment I knocked on that door, what happened? It fell in. Because it was made of what? Straw. Now, I just didn't want to just walk in someone else's house. So I said, little pig, little pig, little pig, are you in? I was just about to go home without that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. Because, see, nobody was answering. And that's when my nose started to itch. And I felt, well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed, a great sneeze. It was too much. And you know what? You're right. That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig. He was dead as a doorknob. Oh, he had been home the whole time, but he didn't answer the door. And you know what? It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner just lying there in that straw. So I ate it up. Yes. Now, think about it like a big cheeseburger just lying around. Wouldn't you eat it? Well, I did. Boy, I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. But see, he was a little smarter, but not much, because he built his house of sticks. Not too bright. And I rang the doorbell, but nobody answered. I said, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And he yelled, "Go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs of my chinny chin chin." And so, as I grabbed the doorknob, I felt a sneeze coming on. So I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but sneezed, a big sneeze. And you're not gonna believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. And when the dust was cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out.
Right.
So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. Now this guy was the first and second little pig's brother. Now he must have had the brains in the family, because you see, he built his house of bricks. So I knocked on that brick house, no answer. So I said, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And you know what that rude little pig said? "Get out of here. Wolf, don't bother me again." Now talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even a little cup for my dear old sweet granny's birthday cake. That wasn't a good pig. So I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake. Then I felt my cold coming on. So I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. And then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pen." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. So when the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down that pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as you can say, is history. Because see, when the cops came, they didn't care. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured I was a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar. Didn't even sound convincing. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down. And that made me look like a big, bad wolf. Now that's it. Now that's the real story. You see, I was framed. I wasn't going around huffing and puffing and blowing people's house down. I had a sneeze, and I had a cold. Maybe you can loan me a cup of sugar. The end.
Thank you. is supposed to be the true story of the three little pigs. The true story. The key word is true. Have you ever heard the story like this? It's told in this same manner? You've heard the story told, but have you heard it told like this? The true story. What happened? What happened in this story that was unusual? Yeah. What happened was you had a different story than the others. Look at the end here. Look at the newspaper. Was this fair? Was this a fair story? Oh, okay. Let me hold it. Okay. Hello. Was this a fair story? Was this a fair story about the wolf? No. It was not, huh? Why wasn't it fair to the wolf? He blew the house down, didn't he? He blew down what? 3 places, he thought. Okay. Well, was it fair to the pigs that each of the houses that he went to? What, it was? It was fair? Well, let me. Now, the other thing is, did the wolf get a full meal? Did he eat too much? He did? Wow. He ate at each house that he went to, am I correct? He did not? All right. And what was he looking for? Why was he going from house to house? He was going to find what? A cup of what?
Sugar.
Sugar. And who was going to use the sugar? What was he going to use the sugar for? He was going to use it to make a cake for his grandma. Okay. And one other thing we need to pick up from this. If you build your house out of straw, or sticks, or out of bricks, will that house stand? That goes back to a biblical principle. If you build your house on sand, you build your house with sticks. If you build your house with bricks, well, which one is not going to fall when the wind blows? When it blows? The bricks are going to stand, right? The others are made out of different material, and therefore they're weak, and they can't stand. Is that correct? Yes. That is correct. All right, so now the true story is the story of the wolf telling the 3 little pigs story. Because we're going to give you a copy to take home with you this evening. Today.
Check it out.
Yes. So you'll get a chance to hear more about the 3 little pigs. All right, we are now going to go into our third story. And our third story is quite amazing. And this is our third book. All right.
Now, what do you do when you see a mosquito or you hear a mosquito? And where does he seem to go all the time? On your neck? On your leg?
He's everywhere.
But a lot of times mosquito, can everybody be quiet? When I usually hear a mosquito, I think it's buzzing around my ear and I go, and I never knew why. And this story will talk about why mosquitoes buzz in people's ear. Can everybody in the back hear me? I want to make sure. All right, now, in order to hear the story, you have to be what?
Quiet.
All right. Now, this tale is a West African tale. Do everybody know where Africa is? First of all, I like to say this. Is Africa a country? How many people says it's a country? It's not a country. It's a city. Or is it a state? How many people think it's a state? Raise your hand. How many people think it's a city? How many people think it's a country? It's not any of those
Not any
things.
of them.
It's a continent. A continent. That's bigger than all of those places.
All of those places.
And as a matter of fact, you'll see some things in the museum that came from Africa, different parts of Africa. So we're going to start by reading this story, and this is our last story, so I really need it so everybody can hear. So please be quiet so that everybody can hear. Now, one morning, a mosquito saw an iguana. You see the iguana? It was drinking out of a water hole. And the mosquito said, "Iguana, you will never believe what I saw yesterday. Try me." I saw a farmer digging yams that were almost as big as I am. What a mosquito compared to a yam? I would rather be deaf than listen to such nonsense. And so he put 2 sticks in his ears, and he went off, Mickey, 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 through the different reeds. Now the iguana was still grumbling to himself when he happened to pass a python. Now that big snake raised his head and said, "Good morning." The iguana didn't answer, but lumbered on, bobbing, "Better than, Python asked, "Why wouldn't you speak to me?" The iguana must be angry about something. I'm afraid he's plotting some mischief against me. I better find a place to hide. There's a rabbit hole over there. I'm going to try getting in that. Wassawa, wassawa, wassawa. So when the rabbit saw the big snake coming into her hole, she was terrified. And she ran out through the back way and she bounded, "Cricket, cricket, cricket, cricket." Then a crow saw the rabbit running for her life. So he flew into the forest, warning everybody, "Caw, caw, caw," because see, it was his duty to spread the alarm in case of a danger. But then a monkey heard the crow. Now he was sure that there was some dangerous beast that was prowling near. So he began screeching and leaping and skipping through the trees to help warn the other animals. So as the monkey was crashing through the treetops, he happened to land on a dead limb. That limb broke and it fell on the old owl's nest, killing one of her owlets. Mother Owl was not at home, for though she usually hunted only in the night, this morning she was still out searching for one more tidbit to satisfy her hungry babies. And when she returned to the nest, she found one of them was dead. Her other children told her that the monkey had killed it. All that day and all that night, she sat in her tree. She was so sad. So sad. So sad. Now it was the mother owl who woke the sun each day so that the dawn could come. But you see, she was so sad this time when she should have hooted for the sun. She didn't do it. And the night grew longer and longer. And the animals of the forest knew it was lasting much too long. They feared that the sun would never come back. At last, King Lion called a meeting of the animals. They came and sat down, pim, 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 all around a council fire. Mother Owl didn't come. So the antelope was sent to fetch her. And when she arrived, the king lion asked, Mother Owl, why have you not called the sun? The night has lasted long, and everyone is worried. Mother Owl said, the monkey killed one of my owlets, and because of that, I cannot bear to wake the sun. The king said to the gathered animals, did you hear? It was the monkey who killed the owlet. And now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so the day can come. Then the king lion called the monkey, and he came before him nervously, glancing from side to side. Rim, rim, rim. Monkey said, the king, why did you kill one of the mother owl's babies? Oh, king, said the monkey, it was the crow's fault. He was calling and calling to warn us of danger, and I went leaping through the trees to help, and a limb broke under me, and it fell on the owl's nest. The king said to the council, so it was the crow's fault. The crow who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. Then the king called for the crow. That big bird came flapping up. King Lion, it was the rabbit's fault. I saw her running for her life in the daytime. Wasn't that reason enough to spread an alarm? So the king nodded his head and said to the council, so it was the rabbit who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now the mother owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. Then the king lion called the rabbit. That timid little creature stood before him, trembling and shaking, not knowing what to do. Rabbit, said the king, why did you break the law of nature and go running in the daytime? Oh, king, it was the python's fault. I was in my house minding my own business when that big snake came in and chased me out. So the king told the council, so it was the python who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. King Lion called the python, who came slithering past the other animals. But king, he cried, it was Iguana's fault. He wouldn't speak to me, and I thought he was plotting something mischievous against me. So when he crawled into the rabbit's hole, I was only trying to hide. So the king said to the council, so it was the iguana's fault. It was the iguana who frightened the python, who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. Now, the iguana wasn't at that meeting, but he had not heard the summons. The antelope was sent to fetch him, and all the animals laughed when they saw the iguana coming. Betterman, with sticks still stuck in his ears. So King Lion pulled out the sticks. Brr, brr. Then he asked Iguana, what evil thing have you been plotting against the python? None at all. Python is my friend. Then why wouldn't you say good morning to me, demanded the snake. I didn't hear you or even see you. Mosquito told me such a big lie, I couldn't bear to listen to it again. So I put sticks in my ears. Laughed the lion. So that's why you had sticks in your ears. Yes, said the iguana, it was a mosquito's fault. So the king lion said to the council, so it was the mosquito. It was the mosquito who annoyed the iguana, who frightened the python, who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. Punish the mosquito! Punish the mosquito, all the animals cried. So when Mother Owl heard that, she was satisfied. She turned her head toward the east, and she hooted and hooted and hooted till the sun came up. Now, meanwhile, the mosquito had listened to it all from a nearby bush, and she crept on a curly little leaf and was never found and brought before the council. But because of this, mosquito has a guilty conscience, and to this very day, she goes about whining in people's ear. Is everyone still angry at me? Is everyone still angry at me? When she does that, she gets an honest answer. That's why the mosquito buzz in people's ear. She's trying to ask, are they still mad at her?
Okay. Now, didn't we enjoy that story? What do you do when a mosquito comes near you? You hear that, right? You do.
Okay.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
They can't hear her.
Now, what did the iguana do in this story? What did the iguana do? What did the iguana do in this story?
Yeah.
You remember the iguana? This picture right here. Oh. What did the iguana do when he heard about this? What is peculiar to this picture? What is this? He put the sticks in his ear. Why did he put the sticks in his ear?
Because you don't want to hear the iguana.
He didn't want to hear the mosquito, huh? He didn't want to hear any sound. So he put the sticks in his ear so he could not hear. Is this correct?
Yes.
Well, tell me, what did another animal do when the mosquito came near him? How about the monkey? What happened then?
He jumped.
He did
jumped.
what? What did the... All right, and then you had the snake. What did the snake do when he heard the mosquito? The python. He ignored it? Oh, he did, huh? Well, now the question is, was it fair for all these different things to act the way they did toward the mosquito? Was this fair? Was the mosquito bothering anybody? He was? What was he doing? Was he buzzing?
No, he was messing with it.
Oh, okay. Well, what did the rabbit do when he came back? Do you remember? Well, you see the monkey now, and there he is. He was upset, right? Okay, this young man, what is your name? Jay, what did you want to say to us?
I was asking,
Did the mosquito do what? What else could the mosquito do other than he went from person to person, in this case, animal to animal? And most of these animals were in which jungle? We talked about Africa. Africa is a continent, right? That's a huge place. We could put the United States, all the U.S. in there at least twice in the continent of Africa. And Africa has a lot of animals, and it's open, a lot of forestry, so you could have a wonderful time roaming in the woods and enjoying the forest. And this is the key thing about being there. And look at the animals. They were beautiful, weren't they? Different colors, different shapes. You had some on the ground. You had some that were in the trees. You had different ways the animals came forward. So you get a chance to see the owl. You get a chance to learn about several different animals that live in Africa. Can you think of an animal that lived in Africa that we may not have talked about today? Did we talk about, okay? The who? Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the elephant. Thank you. Good. Now there's another one that we can bring up. Was there another one that was not discussed in this book today? I want some more hands. Who's this young man right here? The zebra.
Yes.
They did not talk about the zebra. Give me one more animal that was not talked about. I'm trying to get somebody that hasn't been up before. Are you all twins right here? You dress alike. What is your name? I'm going to get to him. Okay, and what was the animal that you did not see portrayed here? The lion has already been given.
There's a gentleman in the back.
The gentleman in the back.
On
okay.
this side.
Oh, right here, yes, with the, okay. What did we have here? A cheetah. Oh, what does a cheetah do? He runs fast, right? Yeah. So we didn't see a cheetah today, but we saw several that you can relate to. We even saw several that were not talked about, but they were there, like the giraffe. There was a picture of him. So when you get a chance to see animals, you will learn that they all have their own idiosyncrasies. And what does that mean? They all have their own way of expressing things. This book, Why Mosquitoes Buzz in People's Ears. Now, somebody said mosquitoes, if one mosquito get on your arm or your leg, you hit it. Why do you hit that mosquito? Oh, it hurts. So what can the mosquito do to you? What can he do? This young lady right here, what can the mosquito do to you? He can bite you. Yeah, and he can cause you some pain and stress, right? So you don't want that. You want to make sure that you are safe. And so you hit the mosquito. And many people kill the mosquito, am I right? Well, mosquitoes buzz in people's ears because they might want to give you a message. You know, he may want to talk to you. Have you ever thought about that? You don't want to hear what he has to say, is that correct? I hear you.
They might go through your ears, they might just be buzzing around your head.
They may be buzzing around. Now, another thing, that's true. And another thing, the mosquitoes come out when? In the day or at night? Oh, you all know they come out at night? They come out in the day too? What about when it rains? Will they come out then? Oh, okay. This person has, what's your name? Huh? All right. What were you about to say? Oh, you were going to tell us about the tiger was not in the book that we covered today. So we had a wonderful time with that story. Anybody want to give me one last idea? Just one last thought. And I want to see a hand that I have not seen before. Jared,
Yes, young lady.
Okay, the fellow with the plaid. What's your name? All right, and what is your statement?
The statement is, why do mosquitoes just buzz around your ears?
Why did they, his question again is, why did they just come back and buzz around your ears? That's what the book is about.
So, like, when you slap them away, another one starts coming back.
And then, another one to come back and buzz around your ear as well, huh? That's true. And why did they come back? They have to tell us something. Their wings are flapping and so forth, and they're making sounds. And so they do that because they want to get close. And they want to get close and share with animals as well as people. That's why mosquitoes buzz in our ears. Thank you.
Wait, once they fly.
Yeah, they will fly away after you hit at them. That's true.
Okay. We want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming out and being a part of this. And I hope you've heard a story, the true story of why some things happen the way they are. And also that all of us can have those very, very bad, horrible days.